the reality is people who want to do wrong stuff, they would just find a way to do wrong stuff, right?
Always,
And the people
man.
who want to do it the right way, sometimes these laws just make it much harder for them.
Do you want to take ownership of your financial future? Have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and with whom you want? Welcome to the top, the Take Ownership Podcast, the ultimate destination for Black people who want to learn how to build wealth through multifamily investing. We believe that multifamily investing is one of the most powerful wealth building tools available to our community. Through our podcast, we demystify the world of real estate investing and show you how to use multifamily properties to create long-term passive income streams and build equity. Each episode features expert guests, real-world case studies, and practical tips tailored to Black investors. Whether you're just starting out in real estate investing or you're a seasoned pro, you'll find valuable insights and actionable advice that can help you achieve your financial goals. Join us on the Take Ownership Podcast and start taking ownership of your financial future today.
All right, fam. Welcome back to episode number 2. It's me again, right? DB, and I'm here with my man Jerome as usual. We are back with episode number 2. Today we're going to be covering a lot of stuff, mainly, who can invest in apartments, right? We figured, it's a good conversation to have because, there's a lot of misconceptions as far as like, investing in general, right? Investing in real estate. So we wanted to sort of demystify who can invest, and I will try to split it into 2 groups. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But what's going on, Jerome?
Well, it's good, DB, man. We good. It's been a nice, busy, try to stay productive week.
Okay.
Um,
Anything exciting?
Mostly connecting with individuals in the financing game. Just trying to understand debt. Try to understand as a newcomer how can I finance these multifamily homes. So having some nice conversations, some humbling conversations, particularly start off small is the motif. So we're gonna definitely move forward and seeing the importance of building relationships, man. That's
Hmm.
kind of been my kick every week.
Yeah.
What about you, man? How's your week, man?
Week was good, but I want to touch on something you mentioned, man, because I think it's really important. 2 things actually that I heard from you that's important. You always dropping some juice, man. Um, as far as like starting off, I I hear people in 2 different camps, right? Some people say like when you start off, start small so that's palatable, it's easy to manage. Something goes wrong, it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world kind of thing, right? But then there are some people who feel like if you're gonna start a little bit higher
Right,
or a little bit
right,
more above your comfort zone, right? Because sometimes when you're too comfortable with something, it's like, you might not push, you might not put in the same
hmm
push, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm
hmm
used to this, but when you come out of your comfort zone a little bit, sometimes you're forced to be pushed a little more. So I don't know. I don't know which one is right or wrong. I suspect neither one is right or wrong, right? I think it's
right.
probably on an individual basis, business wise base, and whatever you mean to do. So
I'm learning to kind of follow the money.
can't go
So
wrong
like
with
when you
that.
bankable, if you have somebody, either if you have the capital or somebody with the capital, it can be figured out. So
Yeah,
maybe that's the better motif.
yeah.
Follow the money. Follow
Follow
what's
the money,
bankable.
man. Can't go wrong with that. Follow the money. And that was the other thing. All right, follow the money.
Yeah.
Um, so this weekend was this past weekend was exciting for me. Not I don't know if it was exciting in a good way. It was just exciting. So I went to do some work on one of my properties, one of my short-term rentals, right?
Mhm.
There was issue with the bed, so I went there, wanted to fix it. When actually ordered a whole new set, right? So I took it down, ready to set it up, got there, and when I got there, I realized, oh, this bed is not actually bad. It's actually, fixable. Like the issue was like it was a bunk bed, right? And it was just the slats were some of the slats were really the way they designed them were kind of short, so they can easily fall out.
Oh
So I
wow.
thought this is nothing. I'm just gonna go to Home Depot, get me a couple of pine, cut them, bring them over, and put them up, right? So I did that. Went to Home Depot, got the pines, brought them in, and tested it out. I did about four of them. It's like, this is great. This is going to be good. So I'm like, all right, let me go get a few more just to keep it really, make it as stable as possible. Right.
Mhm.
So I go to Home Depot, get this stuff, come back in my car, start the car, nothing, nothing. So,
Replace these.
I'm trying everything. I get a whole bunch of people to come help me, jump this, doing this. I didn't have a hammer on me, but I had a tire iron, took it out,
Mhm.
banged the starter while someone's trying to start it. I mean,
Mhm.
nothing at all. So I end up actually having to call a tow truck. By the way, this was Sunday, right? So this was Father's Day. It was before
Mhm.
Juneteenth. It was like basically all the holidays, right? It was Father's Day. It was Sunday, meaning no, everybody's about to be closed. But luckily, I was able to get in touch with some guy. He came and towed my car. Said I couldn't fix it the same day, so that meant I drove with him, got to his place, and then from his place got an Uber. From there, I got an Uber to the airport so I can go rent a car so that I can go back home
Yeah.
and then go back the next day when they were finished fixing the car. Man, it's one of those, but those are the things that
Unexpected.
come with ownership, man.
It's always the case when it's least expected, man. You have so
Telling you,
much
man. It was fun.
feeling.
It was fun. Yeah.
And everything copacetic now, at least with the
Man,
car.
everything is good now. The
Mm.
funny thing, the next day the mechanic called me. He said, I went to start the car and it started.
Glad you
Yeah,
made
that's my story, but that's my experience from this week, man. But yeah, aside from that, man, let's get into this podcast number two, man. I've got a
it.
bunch of exciting stuff to go over. As usual, our format. We like to, hit you guys up with some information, some news stuff that's going on. We already know about all the interest rates, where the Feds kind of paused it. So we want to give you some other stuff that, we know you're not necessarily, might not have your ears to. So, Joe, I don't know if you want to take the first one, or maybe I can take the first one. Maybe I want to take the second one.
Yeah, let me take the first one because I'm interested to see
Okay.
your thoughts on AI. I really want to see your thoughts on both of them. But
Okay.
so we got an article, lawmakers advance bill to unmask property owners behind LLCs. So business of LLCs, kind of dark, the black market of LLCs. We people find a way to corrupt anything, but
Yeah.
basically the bill aims to combat nefarious activities facilitated by anonymous LLC ownership, such as money laundering, big one, tax evasion, and unaddressed code violations, which I think is a very healthy thing. I think we have to have a balance between encouraging entrepreneurship and slight oversight over corruption, which happens in pretty much every genre. So this could be a healthy balance, healthy bill if it gets passed. Uh, Major kick, the bill was initially introduced to expose Russian oligarchs who own real estate in New York. So it's kind of going beyond your traditional scamming to
Mm,
this global entity and oversight. So I think that's an interesting thing to bring up. And I think for me, that bill goes back to doing things right from the jump, just initiative. When you initiate something, make sure it's copacetic, make sure it's on the up and up from the jump. And like when you do things with ill motives, usually it's going to get found out. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting one on that one.
Yeah, and that's so I don't know, like you said, right? There's always there's got to be a balance, right? So we're looking at two things, right? We're looking at people who don't want to be found, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus for a good reason, right? Because you might own 100 units, and you don't necessarily want people knowing that, oh, the guy that owns the 100 units, he
Right,
lives
right,
across over here, and then people might think, oh, well, he owns, because it's people's perception, right? You and I
right.
both know that we can have an LLC that owns this building, but the reality is, as a landlord, we might have like 50 investors. And as far as our money, we don't have any money into it. And maybe even the money we're earning is like nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But someone with the wrong perception might think, oh, well, I know Derek and Jerome, man. They own this LLC and they own this, 1,000 unit build. Oh man, they're clearing like 1 million. Let me go talk to them.
Right,
So
right,
that's a
right,
good reason for people to want to, not have their information out on the web and stuff like
right.
that. But then, of
Yeah.
course, I also understand like what they're trying to do here. It sounds to me like, when the whole thing happened with like Russia, and I guess it's still happening in Russia and Ukraine, and they were trying to ban some, Russians from buying stuff here and holding stuff, holding assets. So this is one of the way. But the reality is, people who want to do wrong stuff, they would just find a way to do wrong stuff, right?
Always,
And the people
man.
who want to do it the right way, sometimes these laws just make it much harder for them.
Right, right,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I couldn't add to that. I couldn't agree with you more, man. That's usually the case.
Yeah, man, that's my take. Let me take this next one here. So this is an article from The Real Deal, which is like a website that mostly has like real estate news and stuff like that. And the topic they had on is Texas real estate platform puts AI to work. What they're basically talking about is this company, it partnered with a brokerage in Texas, happen to be in Texas, your home, your
What up?
neck of the woods, right? And they're using Chat GPT to sort of help
Mhm.
Keller Williams brokers, match, essentially help their clients match with real estate. So if you're looking for something, you can go on the website and it's going to sort of help cater certain things to you. So honestly, right now, ChatGPT is everywhere. The idea here is, you mentioned the word AI, and people's ear just like, kind of perk up because everybody wants to hear about it. I think there's almost limitless things to do with AI. We haven't figured everything out yet, but this is one of them, right? But
Right.
definitely a lot coming down the pike, and I think this is probably going to be a good topic for us to probably cover somewhere down the pike about how to incorporate AI in your workflow.
Right.
Um,
And I know Derek is like I think Derek, you was probably the first to introduce me in our group to AI, and I was like, "What the heck is
what is
this?"
that? What is this
Right?
GPT crap,
Somebody
right?
said
Yeah,
discovering fire, man. I was like, "What is going on?" But now it's I think people are liking it to the .com, the internet buzz of the early 2000s. So
absolutely,
it's,
absolutely.
it's on a different level of the good and some anxiety with it. So this is cool how they're integrating it already though to
Yeah.
gain. My only caveat to any kind of automation is at some point there has to be a human touch. I just know I was trying to get a disposal service for a mobile home we were cleaning up, and it was so automated that I never got a chance to talk to an actual person. It's like
Wow.
it just kept bringing me to another computer system. I was like, it was like 5 or 6 rounds, man. And it texted me, then it emailed me, then it gave me a voice message. I was like, oh my goodness. So
Wow.
at
Yeah,
some point we
yeah.
have to connect with a human.
Yeah, I think some of those things might be a bit too much. I think there are some services where it's like, yeah, I just want to log in, sign up and get it. Right. But
Right,
then there are some things where it's like, well, I do want to get it, but I also want to talk to someone because I have this option and there can be that option. And you want to have, and sometimes UI wise, it's not clean enough to have a whole page of multiple options versus like talking to an individual and getting, you know, some things going. So yeah, you're definitely absolutely right on that. Yeah.
The world we live in.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's keep going. So you know, normally with the format, you know, again, we'll start off with our introduction. The only thing this time around is like, again, we don't have a guest today, so that means we're gonna move right into the topic of the day. Coming up in the next episode, we're gonna have a few people joining us, you know, spreading their wealth of knowledge. So the topic we wanted to cover today is, you know, who can buy an apartment, right? And we kind of, like I was saying, we will split into two, right? So we'll talk about what a general partner is and what a limited partner is. So we can probably start off on the general partner first, you know, also known as the GP for short. So in short, GP is, you know, this is the general partner, meaning this is the operator, right? It's another term for the operator. This would be me and Jerome, right? We are the people who are looking for deals. We putting the deals together. We are, you know, managing the asset. Once we buy the asset, we are disposing of the asset, meaning we're selling it when the time comes. We are communicating with our, you know, our limited partners, right? So we are the investors. So who can buy as a general partner? Really, the skill sets you need are not necessarily money, because you don't have to necessarily put out your money. Now, make no mistake about it, when you do start, you know, if you want to, you know, market yourself, that could be money. If you want to build a website, that's money. So a lot of times people will say, well, you can do this without any money. And while that is true, you know, even starting up the company itself, right?
Of course.
LLC, right? It costs money. So it might not be a whole lot of money, maybe not $100 million kind of money, but, you know, you might need $100, $200, something to get started on some of the more, you know, basics, right? So what are some of the skill sets? I have a few here listed down that, you know, we do, right? So one is building an ability to build broker relationship. And this is all relationship based, right? This business, we talked about this last time, Joe mentioned it. You and I are gonna, you know, you're not gonna go to realtor.com and find this and click on it and send a message out to a Zillow agent or Redfin agent, something like that, right? So there's all relationship based. You got to be able to talk to brokers, right? So that's one of the key stuff. And eventually we're gonna bring on a broker so we can talk to a broker and, you know, he can spit his knowledge and share that with you as well. Lender relationship. Jerome mentioned this last time as well. You're not gonna be able to buy anything that's $100 million unless you just got a lot of stash, you know, cash sitting somewhere, right?
Right. And even still, that might not be the best financial route to put all your money up. So
exactly, right? Why do that when you can use other people's money to help you grow faster, right? And help them also earn money, right? Investor relationship, that goes without saying, right? Need to be able to build relationship with investors, because once again, who's bringing the money, right? You got to be able to analyze deals, and we will talk a whole lot more about what that really means to be able to analyze the deal. Asset management, that simply means, you know, looking after the property after you bought it, right? Not you specifically, because you don't have to be the property manager. Usually we hire a property manager to take care of the building, but property managers also have to be managed, right? Exactly. Aside from managing them, you also need to be able to manage their business. You need to be able to send information to your investors, right? Whether it's the K1s, which is basically the statements of what's happening, right? With the business and, you know, what kind of payments they're getting. You need to be able to be sending out basically everything with the business, right? You got to be able to manage that. And of course, getting rid of it as well. Right. So those are the skill sets that you need. And I think, you know, as we continue this podcast, we'll touch more about, you know, a lot of those details. Right. You want to take a little bit of the limited partner piece?
Yeah, for sure. So LPs, limited partners, are the individuals who are giving your hard-earned money to a general partner with the hope of getting some type of high single-digit return. So less skills, I would say, are needed. I think it's important that LPs understand what they're getting into. A lot of LPs are kind of hands off and just once they trust the GP that they're working with, kind of hands off. But it's also important just to know exactly what you're investing in. So that communication is important. But
Absolutely.
again, most importantly, money. The money is definitely needed for the LPs. You're giving your hard-earned money to an investment with an individual stewarding over that money. It's really like a risk management a company, really, for the
Yeah.
GPs and LP relationships. Just trying to mitigate risk. Hopefully, it's a good investment that you're throwing your money behind.
Yeah, so
Some people,
definitely to a degree, like, right. So you have 100, 100K, you want
Mhm,
to invest that, right? You might look around and see, okay, I have a few options. I can go put it in the stock market. I can go give it to or maybe I'm not interested in the stock market. So maybe
right.
I go do this, go buy gold, go buy crypto, whatever, whatever you're gonna do. You still have to do some due diligence, right? You still have to understand, like, unless you've already been with the operator for a while and you sort of know what they do already, and even still, really, right? You still want to be able to make sure that you can, read what they're giving you, make sense out of it, and decide, okay, this investment is for me, right? Because
Mhm,
not every investment is for everybody, and then also everybody invests with different things as well, right? I was having a conversation not too long ago at a meeting, and someone was asking, like, what is a good return, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
the reality is a good return. That topic is like, or that subject is kind of difficult to say, because a good return for you is not necessarily a good return for me,
Right.
because for so many different reasons, right? Um, Granted, most people want more, right? But at the same time, for some people, it might be, I don't necessarily need more. I just need a place to hide my money, right?
Exactly.
Uncle Sam, if you're listening, I didn't say hide. I said properly secure my money, right?
Exactly.
So, so most people need a place. Some people just need a place to put their money, and then some
Right.
people are really, putting their money so that they can make more money and make more money and make more money. So, some
Which
people invest for different reasons. So,
which is
um,
part of the game. I mean, that's the allure of real estate is the shelters that you get with taxes because of you're investing in something that's necessitated. So
exactly, exactly.
not mad at that.
So,
How did you say it?
what was that?
Not the hiding, but what'd you call it?
Not hiding, just a good place to what was the term that I use? I don't even know. Just a good place to secure your money, right? Good place to
Curious.
secure for
Yeah,
short term or possibly long term without Uncle Sam ever knowing about it. So
exactly. So I
uh,
think most people that are LPs are typically wealthy and they kind of understand how money operates and what they want to invest in. So a good number, would you say 8% on
for
cash
for cash
return?
and cash, yeah. So cash and cash, right? Cash and cash is basically the return on your money, right? So um if I invested like $1,000 and I receive 100, right? That's a 10% cash on cash, right? That's some easy math right there. So 10% in this market is beautiful. I'm honestly, 10% in any market really is
Right,
great, right?
right.
But 10% in this market would be, ridiculous. So when you begin to invest, these are some of the things you want to do, right? So you might want to compare, well, if I invest in this stock, maybe I'll get 8% or whatever, right? If I invest in this, I would get 9%. But if I bring something to you and say, well, the cash and cash in this one is 10%, well, right there, that already, tells you, okay, let me look into this one a little bit more, right?
Right,
So
right,
that's definitely one of the things, yeah.
right.
Um,
And it kind of goes back to why it's important to have a GP that knows how to manage your property so that net operating income can demonstrate that we can get that cash on cash return. Don't make promises, but
yeah,
uh,
absolutely,
so
absolutely. Um, let's go over some terms for the folks who want to be looking into becoming a GP, so that when time comes for them to start looking at a deal, they kind of have an idea. I know you already mentioned net operating income, which short for, or some people short now for NOI. Basically,
mhm,
this is the income minus the expense, right, before any debt is paid. So if the place makes, let's just, easy numbers, 100K, right? And then all my expenses, not including my mortgage that I pay or some loans that I pay, we refer to those as debt services. If all those are 50, then that means my NOI is 50, right? Because 50 minus 50K is 50, right? So that'd be NOI. Another term that I know a lot of people are going to come around is the cap rate, right? So what is a cap rate? The cap rate is sort of a ratio of the net operating income. So simple way to look at that is like, if I purchase a place for 100K, right? Simple math, 100K. And excuse me, I purchased for 800K and we make 100K out of it, right? So the NOI is simply just going to be that 100K that we made, right? Divided by 800K that we purchased it for, which in a sense would be a 12.5% cap. Now, tell me, would you like a 12.5% cap?
For sure.
Yeah, in this market, if you can find a 12.5, 10 anything above 8 even, right? It must be either dilapidated in the worst place possible, and most likely none of your tenants will come back after day one.
Right. Equity multiple, when we go over that one.
Yeah, sure.
So that's basically the multiplier return on your money. So if you invested 100K again and you received 180K at the end of the investment, the multiple is 1.8.
Exactly.
Right? So that's almost 2 times your money, twice your money, the rate.
That would be beautiful, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Depending on the time span, obviously, but yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good rate of return.
Absolutely. So you might be looking at your stuff. Someone sends you a document and say, hey, this is what I got. The vacancy is, vacancy is 5%. What would you say to something like that? You'd be happy, right?
Right.
You'd be real happy, right? So, vacancy is pretty much just, how much the place is occupied versus those who are not there right now. So generally speaking, you want to always do your math, 5% or higher, like, assuming that it's going to be 5% or higher vacancy. Obviously, our job is to work on it and get it down to 0. But we know that's not a reality because things happen, right? People move. When people move, you gotta, get somebody in, and even if they're out for 1 month, that still, adds up to a vacancy. So you can never. That's why there will be sometimes I would get almost all the time. You get a broker package, you look at it, and it says, occupancy is 100%, vacancy 0. It's like, okay, that's great, but I'm not going to do my math on that because that's just not the reality of things, right? Unless. No, there's no unless. It's just not a thing, right? So you always do your math.
You look at the rent roll, everybody's about to leave like in next 2 weeks or something.
Exactly.
It's the nature of any business is the vacancies.
Yeah. One of the things that I think also gets a lot of people to is the debt service. When you start mentioning the term debt service and debt service ratio, people seems like a bigger word, so throws people up. But really, when we mention debt service, we're just talking about how you pay for any loan, mortgage, whatever that is associated with being able to own this property, right? So if you have a mortgage, that's your debt service. If you got it from the owner and did owner financing and the owner became the bank for you, that's your debt service, right? Now, in terms of having a debt service, that's another term called debt service ratio, right? This is basically a ratio of how much you're making and how much you have to be able to pay for, the debt is served, right? So simple math here, if your NOI, once again, is 100K and the mortgage is 65, then when you do the math, that basically just comes out to 1.54, right? So I know for a fact, when I do my numbers, right, I want to make sure that my number is at least 1.5. If it's not 1.5, I'm looking side eye. most banks are not going to look at it if it's less than 1.25. They're just not even going to touch it, right? Because that means you don't have enough cushion to pay for your mortgage and then have anything else left over. So for me, if it's 1.4 something, I might look at it, try to see where I can shave off some stuff in order to bring it up. But yeah, 1.5 is where I aim for, right? So
And that's what I love about what you just said is it's clear, right? You don't have enough to cover the debt, so we can't finance that. So it takes the emotion out of it. It's like it's pretty cut and dry. Got to be able to cover it. So
yeah, cool. All right, so fam, this is probably the end of this. Right, it was going to be we knew this was going to be a short episode. We're going to come back next week. We're going to have some more stuff for you. We'll try to drop one every weekend, every Saturday, upload every Saturday. Anyway, that's our aim. And bring you a lot more people who can educate you on some of these things that we're talking about. Right now, we just scratching the surface, right? We don't want to go too deep into stuff yet. Just scratching the surface. As time goes on, we're going to, hit you up a lot more stuff. So Jerome, how can folks get in touch with you?
Yep. Call Avery and Ivory Capital .durable.co. And like I was saying, the marketing is for having the longest website possible so people can remember. But please bookmark it. Definitely want to get in touch with everybody. So Avery and Ivory .durable.co.
All right, and I'll drop it in there so that it's a lot easier for people to see it. If you want to get in touch with me, Derek Bonsu, you can get in touch with me on or it's an email as well. It's just going to be hello@acobencapital.com. So I'll drop that in there as well so you can see it. Like I mentioned, Jerome and I, we've been doing this and we're really just trying to educate folks about it. So we want to bring a lot more people in as time goes on, people to come and spread their knowledge, share their knowledge so that we can selfishly learn as well, along with you. Because it's nothing like, getting an opportunity to learn from those who've been doing it. So,
right. Never exhausted. So,
oh man.
Want to end this with Derek. Want to ask you, this is the Take Ownership podcast, right? So how do you?
How did I take ownership? I was going to beat you to it, but you beat me to it. So how did I take ownership this week? So this week, I attended a very fruitful meeting out here in my local area, Arlington, precisely. And I was very good. I met with a good amount of people, had some good conversations. It's been a while since I went there for some personal reasons, but it was good to be able to get back in touch and reconnect, get the line flowing again. Because like you said, this is a business. This business is a people relationship based, right? So if you're not out there, connecting with people, new ones, and also reigniting old ones, you're gonna be left out in the dust. So
yeah.
So how about you, man? How did you take ownership this week?
This week is trying to focus on making sure our sons are in a better spot. Making sure how I'm trying to say this, that my sons are a better version of how I grew up. So
I got you.
The legacy I'm trying to take ownership of, but boy, do I fail at it sometimes. So that's kind of where I am with it.
That's a tall order, man. But you got it, man. You got it. All right, man. It's good connecting with you. We'll connect again and connect with folks. So as I said, you want to get in touch with me, get in touch with Jerome, bookmark us, send us a message. If any communication, something you want to, learn more about, definitely, like, share the video, comment on the video, let us know. We're going to be keeping a close eye on the comment section moving forward so we can, talk with you and see what's going on. All right.
Cool beans. All right, man.
Peace.
Peace.